The counselor had a conversation with him that I think many adult entrepreneurs still need to have. If the market doesn't buy, they are not rejecting you because you are not your business. Howdy folks, my name's Thom Gibson. If you're new here, my channel is all about helping middle school teachers design an engaging classroom experience for their students and a fulfilling teaching experience for themselves. This video is actually a segment from a session that I did at last year's Teacher Summer Reboot Conference. My session was called 5 Things We Need to Teach Kids About Money and Business. And one of the things that I talked about in that video is that we need to teach kids that their first business idea will probably fail. That the market is not gonna buy something just because you're selling it, that you can really care about your product, but that doesn't mean anybody else will, and you don't get rewarded just for participating in the world of business. For context, in my classroom, I have a classroom economy system where students actually have classroom jobs that pay them in classroom money, and part of that system is students have the opportunity to start businesses in the classroom that deal in classroom money. And so before I play that part of the session from last year's conference, I did want to let you know that you can sign up for this year's Teacher Summer Reboot Conference absolutely free, and it's taking place July 16th and 17th. It's a virtual conference. It is self-paced, which means all of the sessions are pre-recorded, so you can just watch the ones that you are interested in. This year's theme of the conference is Back to Basics. There's going to be sessions on work-life balance, the first days of school, back to school books, technology tools, classroom management and organization, and parent communication. My session is titled 15 Student Jobs You Need to Implement into Your Middle School Classroom This Year. You can sign up for the conference at educators2educators.com, number 2 in the middle there. With that said, let's get into how no one is going to be giving these students a participation award just for starting a business and the valuable lessons that students learn from that. The third thing that we need to be teaching kids about money and business is that your first business idea will probably fail. Each year, at the beginning of the year, I have a handful of students from every class that fill out the job application form. Just like in real life, you can't just start a business. There's some paperwork, some documentation that you have to do. And so my students, they fill out a form and they share a little bit of what their plan is, what they're gonna sell, what service they're going to provide, and how much money they hope to make in their business. Peter was a 6th grade student with a lot of energy and some artistic skills that he thought he could possibly capitalize on. He filled out his business application, he got approved, and about 1 week before we had our open marketplace where students could sell to one another using the classroom money, he created an advertisement for the classroom to show off some of the skills and some of the items and some of the artwork that his classmates could purchase from his business. On marketplace day, he showed up with 3 brand new pieces of artwork that he had drawn and painted, and he was ready to sell. Marketplace time began and students started going to the different vendors, and he was proudly showing off his art. Get brand new artwork, only $500. I just created this past week. And minutes went by and some students were seeing some of his artwork and they're like, oh, that's really good, Peter. And he's like, would you like to buy some of the artwork? And they're like, well, I'm trying to save my money right now because I want to be able to buy my desk and not have to pay rent anymore. Marketplace continued and some other vendors that were selling candy were already sold out of the candy that they had brought, and Peter was still asking if anyone would be interested in some of his artwork, a little bit of the energy lost in his voice as he was realizing marketplace was winding down. And then marketplace time was over and Peter had not made a sale. He asked if he could be excused from the classroom, and I could tell he kind of needed a moment for himself, and I said, yeah, that's fine. And he ended up going to speak to the counselor. He was crushed. He didn't know why people wouldn't want to buy his artwork that he had worked so hard on. Why was he such a failure as an artist? Why were people rejecting him? The counselor had a conversation with him that I think many adult entrepreneurs still need to have. If the market doesn't buy, they are not rejecting you because you are not your business. Burk had a notebook business that was going nowhere. He would haphazardly say, oh, if anyone wants a notebook, just let me know what you want and I'll tell you how much it costs. And nobody would go and ask him to make a notebook for him. He didn't seem too distraught by it, but the next marketplace day, he showed up with 3 notebooks with the Fortnite logo kind of haphazardly printed on a piece of paper and taped to the notebook. All 3 notebooks were sold fairly quickly. Burk learned that sometimes giving people too many options and asking them what they want actually doesn't yield many results. People didn't know what kind of notebook that they wanted until they saw it. Burk was in tune with his classmates, and he knew what he thought was cool and didn't put it on his customers to come up with what they wanted, but showed them something that could solve their problem. The problem that they didn't even know they had was that their notebook that they currently had wasn't that cool, at least not as cool as a Fortnite notebook. Seinna was one of the early candy businesses that just happened to spring up a little bit after Halloween. And being that many of those businesses sprung up at the same time, there was actually quite a bit of competition, and many of her classmates were just slashing prices in an effort to get business. They didn't really care how much money they made, they wanted to be the ones to make the sale. Seinna realized that she really wasn't making that much money from this candy that she was practically now giving away. And so she decided to pivot and create a business that would be a little bit harder to compete with, a snow cone business. I nearly rejected the snow cone business because it doesn't really jive with my desire to not have things be sticky in my classroom. But for the sake of entrepreneurship, I said, okay, as long as you can be prepared and get everything done during that marketplace time and clean your mess up, then that'll be fine. Seinna ended up hiring another student to help her while she was doing this, paying her in a free snow cone. And as the marketplace started, she realized it wasn't super effective for both her and her employee to both be taking orders and both be trying to make snow cones. And so she made her employee take the orders while she continued to make the snow cones. And then the long line eventually got a little bit shorter. Another student did see the success that Seinna had with her snow cone business, and the next marketplace day, there were 2 snow cone businesses. But Seinna had already developed a good customer base, and students knew the flavors that she had and that they liked those flavors, that she didn't have a problem retaining the customers that she already had. She developed customer loyalty. And she learned the age-old business lesson that 11-year-olds really love drinking sugar water at 10 a.m. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to sign up for this year's free Teacher Summer Reboot that's happening July 16th and 17th at educators2educators.com. And hopefully I will see you there.